I mean, I don't care actually,
Yeah,
but
no problem.
what's interesting in this is uh, what are we going to do with such accounts?
So in that case, this is a totally a valid case to occur. That would be when, because we already have the root tweet ID, which is what I need to make the whole process occur. So in order for this case to happen, somebody would have to change their tweets to protected after we get their initial tweet. And in that case, there's not a ton we could do other than try to send them a DM and try a different approach. Because if their tweets are unprotected, they're are protected. If their accounts on private, then
Oh,
um
okay. So I thought you tried DM. That's why I was surprised.
no. So yeah,
Even
so
if it
so
was private, DM should go. But what did you do then?
so mine is it's only in replies. So it's going to reply directly to your tweet and then check for your replies to my reply. Um
Okay,
yeah,
okay. That
so
then it's understandable.
exactly. So that's the major downfall of this approach. Now, hopefully, the people that made these tweets initially aren't changing their account privacy settings to private, but people do, so that happens. So that's something that I need to build some kind of awareness for, and kind of maybe an argument for combining bot models. And having DMs be having one of two options to send out. What's going on, Ria?
Hey, Ria.
Hey,
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
so
because I mean, I don't have the statistics on what percentage of Twitter users have private account or not, but that's something serious to think about. Because I initially, when I was talking with Ryan at the beginning, I was basically, I had the idea that when they were talking about DM, I was thinking, no, maybe, but direct reply makes more sense at the beginning. That's what I was thinking. Still, it in some sense it makes more sense, but now that this private account thing comes into account, um, I mean, I think we need a discussion about that.
yeah, definitely. It's a totally valid concern. I just looked it up. 13% of Twitter users as of 2019 have their accounts on private. So that's a pretty good percentage. Um, now, there is the similar downside of DMs where DMs can be only open to people that follow them. So there's kind of a hopefully people don't have both set up, but maybe if you're privacy minded, you do. But that's totally something to take note of, and I'm going to do that right now. But without further ado, I'm going to make the start the demo.
Okay.
Well, with a little further ado, I got to write this. All right. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a function that's going to restart this conversations table. And this conversations table is a second table in our database where the conversations with each step and status is going to be held. So the root tweet ID is how we're associating all the conversations. So there's step one where we haven't, or step zero where we haven't reached out. Step one where we've reached out to them but haven't gotten a response. Step two where they've reached out to us in response to our first reach out. And then beyond that, there's because the conversation tree I have built out is so simple, there's not really much beyond that. There's just step five, which is the conversations ended. So we could totally build out more complicated conversation trees, but we all know about kind of binary trees and how easy it becomes, it doubles each time. So the complexity definitely does increase from there. And the argument for a responsive model maybe becomes a little bit stronger. But so this table's full right now. I'm just gonna run a function inside my inside this file that I wrote. Let me just double check the function name. Reset conversations for test. Oh. All right, so conversations to reset. what we should have is 4 right here. So 3 of them are mine and 1 of them is Josh's tweet. So these are all roots. We haven't had any conversation reach out. They've just tweeted, here's an incident. So we would get this data in a real environment from the other table, from the force ranks table. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, this would be running in a server, but I'm just running it in an infinite for loop where it's checking every 30 seconds and advancing the conversation. So now I'm just going to say Python tweet3.py. And so now it's just logging all this stuff, which we probably shouldn't actually do in real life. The logging doesn't really need to occur in real life, but for troubleshooting, it's pretty helpful. But in terms of branching, I'm going to need to get rid of all these print statements and a lot of the to-dos. But so now it's already responded to the first tweets. So now I'm going to go to my Twitter. Josh, if you want to do the same.
Okay, I have it open.
And just check your tweet and see if there's a response to it. So the tweets that I'm responding to, I'm just going to go from one end because I don't want to log in on both Twitter accounts. But so all it sent is incident report test 1. This is Josh's right here. Hi, do you have more information about the location of this tweet? Incident report test 3, same thing. And then there's 2 and 1, just a bunch of different ones. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on my phone because I'm on my other Twitter there. And I'm going to respond to this tweet that the bot just sent. So for incident report test 1, I'm going to respond. And the important thing is to respond to the tweet the bot made. If you don't respond to the tweet the bot made, then it's going to be it's not going to be seen by the current logic. It would be simple enough to set that up to check both, but it's just not. I haven't built that out yet because that's probably beyond MVP. But so I'm just going to respond to all 3 kind of possible responses. Yes, no, and maybe. And the thing about the way I've set it up right now is that it's only checking for exact string matches. So if it's not a yes with a capital Y, then it's going to assume that it's a no. Now, the next step that I'm going to do is build a model that's doing sentiment analysis to check to see whether it's an affirmative or a negative. But that just, I didn't get around to it this weekend, unfortunately. And I maybe could take one off the shelf and do that, but I've just not gotten around to it yet. So this is just for the basic demo. We have yes, no, and maybe. So here's my response. So here's one thread, incident report test 1. Hi, do you have more information about the location of this incident? I responded yes. So the bot responded, what is the location where this incident took place? And because it's running every 30 seconds, it's running pretty quickly. In reality, we probably wouldn't want to do it with that same frequency. Josh, if you want to reply to this tweet as well, and I'll reply as well just to see what happens.
Okay.
It should be fine. It shouldn't break anything, but we'll see.
Yeah, I put in maybe.
Okay, perfect. So if you put in maybe, it's going to send a response to you. Thanks anyway. And so that's basically accounting for when we get like a negative response, like maybe like a curse word or like FU would be like, thanks anyway. Leave it on a nice note and don't worry about it. We could, again, it's possible to build out where we kind of try to nudge them to give us a response that we want. But for the time being, I'm just not worrying about that. So on no's, it responds, thanks anyway. And on maybes, it also responds, thanks anyway. And so the only case where it responds, do you have more, or what's the location, is a yes with a capital Y. Now I can change that with lower, and I could make a list of like 20 different ways to respond to yes. But before I do that, I'm just going to make a model. I'm just going to make a model that does sentiment analysis. And instead we can have every possible, or not every, but a much wider range of possible responses, because that kind of changes with time and yada, yada. So now the interesting thing is I'm going to go back to this database and I'm just going to check. I'm just going to run the same query, which is just select star from this database. So now you can see there's 11 entries in it. And organized by the root tweet ID, you can see the progression of the conversation. So we received the response maybe. So the next thing is we were sent this, hi, do you have more information? because they responded no. Okay, so for this one, actually, that's, oh no, so maybe. So it's not ordered by conversation status. I should have subordered that query. But so we responded, hi, do you have more information? And they responded maybe. So then it got advanced to conversation status 5, which means the conversation's done. And then the only one where we said yes, we sent out what is the location where this incident took place. So now, and then for Josh as well, I actually am going to run this query again because I don't know if it got that. Josh, did it respond to you?
Let me refresh. No.
Really?
No response.
Okay. There's a major error. It works when I talk to myself, but it doesn't, it's not picking up the correct response right here. Let me check the logs and see. Oh, wow. So it failed out. So it's getting the replies when it says none type has no attribute ID string. That means there was no response that it got in the checking for replies. So, Josh, if you want to just leave this tweet up, that'd be awesome. And I'm just going to play with it later. But
Okay.
what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to it's going to error out again if I leave this in the database. So I might actually where I'm going to actually comment this back out, reset the database, unfortunately. And I'm going to comment out Josh's tweet because that's where it's throwing an error. It's pretty obviously a reply checker logic problem, which shouldn't be happening, but it shouldn't be the end of the world either. Okay, great. So now I'm going to go back out, run the whole thing again, and show a working flow. So for this one, I'm just going to respond to one of the tweets. Oh, status is a duplicate. So this is an annoying part of testing where I'm going to have to delete all the response tweets here. And I should write functionality within the code itself to delete these for me. But I haven't done that because it's really only a test case use versus a actual production use, but it'd be good to have either way. So status is duplicate. So as you can see, the error handling is a little bit less than ideal. It's erroring out. It's just doing a hard error out. I just gotta unfortunately delete all these tweets that I made. It's very easy to have the bot kind of make a whole bunch of responses.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so deleted. Now I'm gonna go real quick and delete them on the other side as well. Okay, great. All right, so it's all running. Firing responses out. So we'll just look at one of these conversations in the interest of time. The gorilla conversation, how do you have more information? Actually, it's got to be, I've only entered one into the force ranks database. So it's going to have to be this one right here. Well, let me actually verify real quick. Oh, so it actually updated the location before it got to Josh's. So, let me delete these real quick. Close this out.
Okay, so it sent another reply like within the last 50 seconds to that
Oh.
original tweet that I made. So do you want me to reply now?
Yeah, definitely. What
Okay.
was, oh, so it's when there's more than one reply then. That's the error case. So it's working with other users. And Josh, I have your tweet in this database, so it should update the location here. Great. So we got our tweets here. We should have no locations associated with them yet. It actually does have a location here again. Oh, okay. So this is a different test form. It doesn't really matter. Because this is the -1 case. I should have cleaned this up a little bit. But so do you have more information about the location of this incident? Let me make sure it's still running. It is still running. Great. I'm gonna respond yes. So the response here is yes. And then in 30 seconds, it should send another response up. Let's take a look at Josh's conversation while we wait. Yes. So what is the incident where this location took place? Josh, pick a location. Could be a fake location, real location, made up, totally made up string, whatever you want. And so another question is validation on what we get back from the Google Places API, because the validation or the response that we get back from the Google Places API is not I don't have any way to validate whether that location is actually the location they're talking about. It's just like Google's best guess at that, which is better than my best guess, but still likely not 100% or definitely not 100% accurate. So there's more work to be done on that front too. I'm going to respond tacos in Los Angeles. It's going to pick a taco shop basically. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us at least the city, which is great, but it's not going to give us much more than that in terms of the actual location, unless they say like Neiman Marcus in this part of Chicago or wherever, whatever the Google Places API throws back.
Sorry, I don't mean to disrupt you, but on the topic of location, we were having a conversation where we were thinking of using zip code because zip code would be unique to a location.
Yeah.
And I believe there is data that Brody has access to or has used earlier, where the zip code essentially gives you the lat and longitude of related to it. So it's also easy to grab that and plot it onto the map.
So-
Sorry, by the way, Brody said that, but how would a zip code give you longitude and latitude? Latitude and longitude are more granular, more specific. A zip code is a large area.
I'm pretty sure they center on the geometry of the latitude and long or of the zip code. It errored out again, and I'm not sure which error where it errored out on. So I errored out on stop iteration. Let me just run it again and see if it's gonna error out again. Yep. Conversation tree 4. I'm actually already getting the latitude and longitude from the Google Places API. So I just skipped zip code. We could add that in too. We'd have to migrate the database otherwise, the Force Ranks database. But I am already getting the latitude and longitude.
So the reason I mention it is so that you're not dealing with arbitrary locations.
Yeah.
Like take care of validation from that standpoint.
So-
Because there are only a certain listed zip codes, right?
If they send in a zip code, we'll just take the zip code. That works. But my fear is that they'll send in, they're less likely to send in a zip code than they are to send in just like kind of a colloquial name, which is just like, oh, it happened at this location, as opposed to like 89031 is where this occurred. We could ask for the zip code specifically, and that'd be very easy to do. But
But I guess as someone who's witnessing something that is not in his area may not necessarily know the zip code offhand and will not take the time out to actually figure out the zip code to give it to the bot also.
But we could actually pretty easily request only the zip code and then get back and then we could just do whatever they respond. So it's airing out, thanks anyway. And then we could just do the same Google Places API and whatever they respond. And if it's a zip code, we'll get that correctly. And if it's something else, we'll also handle that. So that's a great idea and a good approach. So I'm not sure exactly which, well, actually I am. Next step is 2. Yeah, it's not responding to that. That should actually handle it. All right, I'm gonna give this one more shot, and if that doesn't work, then this is gonna be a failed demo.
This is really great work so far. It's
Thank
a
you.
work in progress.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're definitely still in the early days of it. But I thought it was 100% ready, and clearly that is not the case, and there's a lot more testing that needs to occur. 1995.
Well, thanks for the demo anyway, Rowan. I have a TPM meeting.
No problem.
in
Yeah, that's
about
my
a
bad. I knew it ran over, but thank you guys for showing up at the demo. And I'm just gonna finish the recording. I'm gonna probably debug it for a minute, see if I can't get a response, and then go from there. But Josh, did you respond with a location?
Yes, I put my own city there, Corona,
Okay.
California.
Perfect. Well, I'll just have the rest of it on this call if I sort that out. If not, then I will update you as I go. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Good word, man. See you later.
I
See ya.
think here I have to go to that DPM meeting. See you.
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing. Thank you, Roland.
Yeah, great work, man. Did you really write all of that? Like that entire file is yours?
Yeah, so there is one chunk of code, the get replies, that I took a Stack Overflow code and I made some changes to it.
Right.
But everything else is just kind of functions to apply different parts of the Tweepy API. But yeah, it was a bunch of writing and bunch of kind of like debugging to make it all work. Let me just run through the data model, just so I have that on the recording. So how it works is it's basically starting with the server running the bot. And so from step 1, it's going to get all the locations with no entries, or all the entries with no locations from Force Ranks, and drop that in the conversations table. Then it's going to grab the grab all those values from here and run it and throw, or the bot's going to grab all those values. From there, the bot is going to check if the conversation's finished or not for each one of those values. If it is, it's going to skip over it and it's going to append the checks made by one. And if it isn't finished, it's going to send a reach out, send the response to Twitter. And then as it cycles through, it'll check for responses from Twitter, from that reach out that we sent, keeping each conversation kind of isolated from others. If it gets a response, it's going to update the conversations table with that response so we can move on to the next step next time the bot cycles through. Then if that response is a location and it's at the correct step in the process, it's going to send that location to the Google Places API. Google Places API is going to give back a location. We do a little bit of validation on it, not much. And then it's going to send the updated location back to the bot, which is going to it's going to update the location again in the conversations table, and then finally update the location in the force ranks table. So it should kind of handle the whole ecosystem or flow on its own. Assuming nothing errors out. And again, there's some less, I need to be logging these errors and not just quitting out the file whenever that occurs or whenever they occur. I
don't know if you already have run it down, but if you have a recording, otherwise, could you go through the status doing? Like, what are the different states that you're doing?
The states for the conversation or just I'll run through the code?
Yeah, like, how does the bot realize that 5 is end of conversation? Like, what have you defined?
So right now, this is the basic, the main advanced conversation code right here.
Okay.
And so what we're doing is we're getting back an object called, we're getting our root conversation, which is it's a query to the database. To start advanced conversation, we pass in a root ID, which is the ID for the tweet that started this whole conversation. And then we're running a query to the conversations database and getting back every conversation, or every step of the conversation that's been done, whether it's 1 or 0 or 4 or 5, that all share this same root ID. Then we're getting the conversation that has the part that has the maximum step. So if the highest step is 3, then we're going to pick up from that conversation step. If the highest step's 2, we're going to pick up from there.
Right.
So that's what this is doing right here.
Got it.
And then we're just having a stop for if the step is 0, we're going to do this, which is send this tweet, append to the database, and use reach out template conversation tree step 1. And then same for max step 1, same for max step 2. And then so it's erroring out here. And I'm not totally sure which part of it or which tweet exactly is causing it to error out. So I'm not gonna subject you to me debugging it right now, unless you wanna stay on and watch that. But
yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind staying on and debugging it with you.
okay, sweet. So it's erroring out on where it's ending the conversation. And then 474 is just the code to, where's 474? Yeah, so that's just the code to run this, where it's trying to sleep. So I made a function called end conversation that's just going to send a tweet to end the conversation. So right here where it's getting the replies on test. So right here, there's no ID string to reply to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a this right here. Doop, doop, doop. Else print error here. All right. I'm just going to run the file again. Yeah, so that's where the error was occurring. All right, great. So now if I go back to Twitter, we're going to see that it responded to my tweet at least. I don't know about Josh's yet. So what's the location? Tacos, Los Angeles. Thanks, you're helping. Align incentives. So that's just to end the good conversation on a good note, saying that we're aligning incentives. And obviously, the response we write needs to be way better than this. We're going to say like, thanks, you're helping to ensure that we're maintaining responsibility and accountability for the police in the United States, to make sure that we're on the same team, we're working towards the same goal, yada yada. For right here, I just wrote align incentives, which is like insert align incentives here. Now let me check Josh's tweet because I'm really interested to see what the deal is on that. So he wrote Corona CA, and I deleted out his I'm pretty sure I deleted his stuff from the actual database that we're testing in. No, I didn't. So, no. All right, so right here, it's not recording Corona CA or the or doing the effective passing to the Google Places API, but in the one that did work, in mine, we're going to check the force ranks, and we'll see Whitrow in this test case right here. The location should not be empty. There should be location information in there. And it is empty. So there's another issue. Let me just verify that I'm not playing with the wrong one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
I just got to check by root ID. So let me just go back here. Check for a yes response. Right here to the root tweet ID. Oh no, so it is. Okay, so it updated the location on the correct one. I was just looking at the wrong one. So this is actually the one because it's got the corresponding root ID. And the other one is not part of the test right now because I didn't respond yes to it. So that's that's a partially functional description. We've got our latitude and our longitude. If we want to pass those into Google, let's see what we got. Where that is. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not totally inaccurate. Tacos Los Guichos. So it just picked a taco shop in what seems to be fairly central Los Angeles, kind of playing it safe to Google Places API.
Yeah.
So ideally, the more information we get from them, the better for the Places API. And I think that whatever bot approach we use, we're probably going to need to use this API call. So you're probably right. We probably should be requesting as granular as data as possible, which is to say the zip code or the full address or whatever, if we can get that.
But from a visualization perspective, just the front, the landing page of the website itself, I think this should still be enough, because if you zoom into the map, you don't necessarily, at least I don't remember if it goes all the way to a specific location as opposed to the name of the city or so, but I could be wrong. This is just something that I vaguely remember.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I don't know if they're using the city or the latitude and longitude. I agree with that, because I know the bubbles kind of merge as you zoom out, but if you zoom really far down, I don't know if they're giving you each point on the map versus just saying this city is where it occurs and it's just one bigger bubble as you zoom in. Definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
Sweet. So I don't know why it's not doing anything on, yeah, so it's saying error here. All right, so let me make, the call is gonna end in 4.5 minutes anyway, so I'm just gonna use that as the time limit. Oh, I'm an idiot. See where it says Rowan Witt and Witt Rowan? I didn't change the code to, I didn't change the code there. Mirai, you're gonna get to see this work.
Good. That's why I'm here.
So let me just throw this in the end conversation. And then I'm going to throw the check. Ria, I figured out that I just had not updated all of my code. That's why I was erroring out.
Oh. Okay.
Which I'm really happy about. So now I'm just going to replace this code with this code. And then I'm going to quit everything out right here. And when I run it again, we should get APIs not defined. Helper functions. All right. Limit reached. No, it's going to sleep for 460 seconds. That's terrible.
Just when we need seconds.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be longer than the amount of time left in the call.
Well, I guess we can meet later again or whenever it suits everybody.
Yeah. It would just be a quick cleanup for this, and hopefully, hopefully not too tricky of a solution. And then if I could just get another person to make a tweet, Murat, if you could unlock your tweets for just like the demo portion,
Yes,
whenever
I
we
can do
read
that.
again or meet again, that would be awesome. And then we could just run that back through.
Yes, I can. I'm right now actually doing it. Whatever the word is called, unblocking the privacy.
Yeah, perfect. All right, please show me that you responded to Josh's tweet before. Yeah, it didn't get to that step yet before it hit the rate limit. So I don't know what the Tweepy rate limit is, and that's something that we can't check every 30 seconds. That's for darn sure. So we also need to figure out like what frequency the bot's checking for responses. And then also on the form, I know there's probably going to be a form team for the Twitter bot. We're going to need similar logic, and we're going to need to just send the form instead of the response. Instead of like, yes, no, what's the location? We would just send a form like, okay, can you fill this form out, please? So that's also maybe something to think about. And also a great place for us to get more commits to GitHub. Well, thank you both for staying along in this demo. And
Thank you, and I guess I'll see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. See you guys.
Bye.